Welcome, dear viewers, to our sanctuary of tranquility, where the worries of the world gently fade away. I am your host, Grace. Here, in our YouTube channel, we invite you to embark on a journey of relaxation and serenity through our soothing sleep stories. In the embrace of our calming tales, let go of the burdens that weigh upon your shoulders. Release the tension in your mind and body, take a deep breath. Settle into your bed and allow yourself to be swept away by the gentle rhythms of our narratives. Close your eyes and surrender to the peaceful whispers of the night. We will jump into today's story. The Bakery on Wheels. Peter sat in his small bedroom, his eyes fixed on the ceiling as the weight of the world pressed down on him. He had always known that life would be difficult, but he hadn't expected the burden to fall so heavily on his shoulders. As the eldest child in a family of 6, Peter had grown up with the understanding that he needed to be strong for his younger siblings. Ethan, the quiet artist; Grace, the dreamy middle child; and Lily, the youngest with a heart full of curiosity. Their mother, Helen, worked long hours as a receptionist at an old hotel, barely making enough to keep the family afloat. Their father, once a skilled baker, had lost his arm in a tragic fire accident, leaving him bedridden and unable to work. Peter had always dreamed of a better life, one where he could provide for his family and give them the comforts they deserved. He had worked hard in school, hoping that a good education would open doors for him. But after graduating, the reality of the job market hit him like a ton of bricks. Despite countless applications and interviews, he couldn't find a job. Each rejection chipped away at his confidence until he was left feeling lost and defeated. One evening, after yet another fruitless day of job hunting, Peter sat at the dinner table with his family, picking at his food. His mother noticed the dark circles under his eyes and the slump in his shoulders. She reached across the table and placed her hand on his. "Peter, I know it's been tough," she said softly, "but you can't lose hope. Things will get better. You just need to be patient." Peter looked at her, tears threatening to spill from his eyes. "I don't know how much more I can take, Mom. I feel like I'm failing all of you." Helen shook her head. "You're not failing us. You're doing everything you can. And that's more than enough. But maybe you need a break. Why don't you go visit your grandmother, Laura? She lives in a peaceful village, and it might do you some good to get away from the city for a while." Peter thought about his grandmother, a woman he had only met a few times in his life. The last time he had seen her, he was just a toddler. Over the years, they had exchanged a few letters and phone calls, but he had never made the effort to get to know her. He was an introvert by nature, preferring to keep to himself rather than reaching out to others. But the idea of escaping to a quiet village, away from the noise and stress of the city, was appealing. "Maybe you're right," Peter said finally. "I could use a change of scenery." Helen smiled. "Good. I'll call her and let her know you're coming. She'll be thrilled to see you." The next evening, Peter packed a small bag and boarded a night bus bound for Willowbrook, the village where his grandmother lived. As the city lights faded into the distance, he felt a sense of relief wash over him. The hum of the bus and the gentle sway as it moved along the road lulled him into a peaceful sleep. When Peter awoke, the first rays of sunlight were breaking over the horizon. He looked out the window and saw a landscape that was entirely different from the concrete jungle he had left behind. Rolling hills, lush green fields, and tall trees stretched as far as the eye could see. The bus pulled into a small stop, and Peter stepped out, taking a deep breath of the fresh, crisp air. The village was quiet, with only the sounds of birds chirping and the distant hum of farm machinery breaking the silence. A sense of peace settled over him as he took in the serene surroundings. Peter asked a few locals for directions to his grandmother's house. They smiled warmly when he mentioned Laura's name, telling him she was well known in the village for her small bakery and the delicious treats she made. As Peter walked along the winding road, he marveled at how different life was here. The pace was slower, the people friendlier, and the worries of the world seemed far away. Finally, Peter reached a small, quaint house with a wooden sign that read Laura's Bakery. The shutters were still closed, and the air was filled with the faint scent of freshly baked bread. He hesitated for a moment before walking around to the side entrance. He rang the doorbell, and after a few moments, the door creaked open. Peter's grandmother, Laura, stood in the doorway, her eyes widening in surprise. "Peter, is that really you?" she exclaimed, her voice filled with joy. Peter nodded, a shy smile tugging at his lips. "It's me, Grandma." Laura's face lit up with a smile as she pulled him into a warm embrace. "Oh, my dear boy. I never thought I'd see you here. Come in, come in." She led him inside, fussing over him like a mother hen. The house was cozy and filled with the comforting scent of baked goods. Laura's love for baking was evident in every corner, from the jars of flour and sugar neatly arranged on the shelves to the rows of freshly baked bread cooling on the counter. "Sit down, Peter," Laura said, guiding him to a chair at the kitchen table. "You must be hungry after your journey. Let me make you something to eat." Peter watched as his grandmother bustled about the kitchen, preparing a breakfast of her famous cream buns, a warm pie, and a steaming cup of hot chocolate. He hadn't realized how hungry he was until the aroma of the food filled the room. When Laura placed the plate in front of him, he dug in with gusto, savoring every bite. "This is amazing, Grandma," Peter said between mouthfuls. "I don't think I've ever tasted anything this good." Laura beamed with pride. "I'm glad you like it, dear. It's an old family recipe, passed down through generations. There's something special about baking with love, you know." As Peter ate, Laura told him about life in the village and her little bakery. It was clear that she loved what she did, and the villagers adored her for it. Peter listened, feeling a warmth in his chest that he hadn't felt in a long time. There was something about this place, something magical, that made him feel at home. After breakfast, Laura opened her bakery, and Peter was shocked to see a long line of customers already waiting outside. The moment the doors opened, the villagers poured in, eager to get their hands on Laura's treats. Peter watched in awe as his grandmother greeted each customer with a smile, chatting with them as she served them their favorite pastries. "Peter, would you mind helping me out?" Laura called over her shoulder as she worked. "Of course, Grandma," Peter replied, stepping behind the counter. He quickly found himself swept up in the rhythm of the bakery. The villagers were kind and welcoming, and they chatted with him as he served them. Some of them even shared stories about his grandmother, telling him how much they admired her, and how her bakery had become the heart of the village. As the day went on, Peter realized that he enjoyed the work. There was something deeply satisfying about baking and serving food that brought joy to others. He felt a sense of purpose that he hadn't felt in a long time. At lunchtime, Laura closed the bakery for a break, and they sat down to eat together. This time, Peter took charge of the kitchen, cooking a simple but delicious meal for his grandmother. Laura watched him with a proud smile as he worked. "You've got a natural talent for this, Peter," she said as they sat down to eat. "Have you ever thought about becoming a baker?" Peter paused, considering her words. "I never really thought about it before. But I like it. I like how it makes people happy." Laura nodded. Baking isn't just about making food. It's about sharing love, comfort, and happiness with others. And you've got that in you, Peter. I can see it. Over the next few days, Peter settled into life in Willowbrook. He helped his grandmother in the bakery, learning her secret recipes and picking up tips and tricks that only a seasoned baker like Laura could offer. He found solace in the simple routines, the warmth of the kitchen, and the smiles of the villagers. As the days turned into weeks, Peter began to think about his future. He knew he couldn't stay in Willowbrook forever. His family needed him back in the city. But he also knew that he had found something here, something that had reignited his passion and given him a new sense of direction. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Peter turned to his grandmother. "Grandma, I've been thinking. I want to open my own bakery in the city. But not just any bakery. A bakery on wheels. I could bring your recipes to the people there, just like you do here." Laura's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Oh, Peter, that's a wonderful idea. I always knew you had something special in you. I'll help you in any way I can." With his grandmother's encouragement, Peter began planning his bakery on wheels. Laura lent him some money to get started, and after a few weeks of preparation, Peter returned to the city with a newfound sense of purpose. Back in the city, Peter threw himself into his new venture with determination and passion. He bought a second-hand van that he converted into a mobile bakery. He painted it a cheerful shade of blue and adorned it with whimsical designs inspired by his grandmother's bakery. The back of the van was equipped with all the essentials: an oven, a small counter, and shelves to display the baked goods. Using the recipes his grandmother had taught him, Peter baked his first batch of cream buns, pies, and cakes. The delicious aroma filled the air, and he felt a surge of excitement as he prepared for his first day of business. On the morning of the grand opening, Peter parked his bakery van at a busy junction in the heart of the city. He put up a sign announcing opening day specials, hoping to attract curious passers-by. As the sun rose higher in the sky, people began to gather around the van, drawn in by the mouth-watering scent of freshly baked goods. Peter's heart raced as he served his first customers. To his delight, they loved the pastries just as much as the villagers in Willowbrook had. Word quickly spread, and soon, a steady stream of customers was lining up to try the treats from their Willowbrook bakery on wheels. By the end of the day, Peter's van was completely sold out. He couldn't believe how well his first day had gone. As he closed up shop and counted the earnings, he felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He had found his calling, and for the first time in a long time, he felt hopeful about the future. As the weeks passed, Peter's mobile bakery grew in popularity. He started parking at different locations around the city, reaching new customers every day. The bakery quickly became a local sensation, with people raving about the delicious pastries and the unique concept of a bakery on wheels. Peter's hard work paid off, and the business thrived. He was able to save enough money to pay back his mother and grandmother with interest, as promised. He also helped his family move into a better apartment in a safer neighborhood, and he enrolled his siblings in a good school where they could thrive. His father, who had been struggling with his injury, received the medical treatment he needed, and slowly but surely, he began to recover. Throughout it all, Peter remained humble and grateful for the support of his family and the lessons he had learned from his grandmother. He knew that he wouldn't be where he was without their love and encouragement. One day, after a particularly successful day at the bakery, Peter received a phone call from his grandmother. She had heard about his success and was overjoyed. "I'm so proud of you, Peter," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "You've taken what I taught you and made it your own." Peter smiled, his heart swelling with pride. "I couldn't have done it without you, Grandma. Thank you for everything." As the years went by, Peter's bakery continued to grow. He eventually expanded to a fleet of bakery vans, each one bringing the joy of freshly baked goods to people all over the city. His grandmother's recipes became famous, and the name Willowbrook Bakery on Wheels became synonymous with quality and comfort. But despite his success, Peter never forgot the lessons he had learned. He knew that life was about more than just making money. It was about bringing joy to others, sharing love through the simple act of baking, and holding on to hope, even in the darkest of times. One summer, Peter returned to Willowbrook to visit his grandmother. The village had become a second home to him, a place of peace and inspiration. He spent a few days helping out in the bakery, reconnecting with the villagers who had supported him from the beginning. On his last day in Willowbrook, Laura gathered the family for a special dinner. As they sat around the table, she raised a glass in a toast. "To Peter," she said, her voice filled with pride, "for finding his path, for never giving up, and for carrying on the family legacy." Peter felt a lump in his throat as he looked around at his family. His grandmother, who had taught him so much, his mother, who had always believed in him and his siblings, who had grown up into remarkable young people. He realized that everything he had achieved was because of their love and support. "Thank you, Grandma," Peter said, raising his glass. "And thank you, everyone, for being there for me. I couldn't have done it without you." As they clinked their glasses and shared stories and laughter, Peter knew that he had found more than just a career. He had found his purpose. He had learned the value of patience, the importance of hope, and the power of love. And with those lessons in his heart, he knew that no matter what challenges life threw his way, he would always rise above them. Years later, Peter's mobile bakery had become a beloved institution in the city. known for its delicious pastries and the story behind it. People from all walks of life flocked to their Willowbrook bakery on wheels for a taste of the legendary cream buns and pies. But more than that, they came for the warmth and kindness that Peter and his team offered. Peter often returned to Willowbrook, where he would spend time with his grandmother, who had become somewhat of a local legend herself. She would tell anyone who would listen about her grandson, the boy who had found his way through patience and hope, and who had turned a simple dream into a reality. One day, as Peter and his grandmother sat together on the porch of the little house, Laura turned to him and said, "You know, Peter, life is like a recipe. It takes time, patience, and the right ingredients to create something truly special. And you've done just that." Peter smiled, his heart full. "Thanks to you, Grandma. You gave me the recipe for success." Laura chuckled softly. "No, Peter. You found that recipe within yourself. I just helped you realize it." As they watched the sun set over the village, casting a golden glow over the fields and hills, Peter knew that his grandmother was right. Life was a journey, full of twists and turns. But with hope, patience, and love, anything was possible. And in that moment, Peter felt at peace, knowing that he had not only found his purpose but also the true meaning of life. A lesson he would carry with him and share with others for the rest of his days. Tonight, as you drift into slumber, may your dreams be filled with wonder and beauty. May you wander through landscapes of enchantment and adventure. And when you awaken, may you feel refreshed and renewed, ready to face the day with a heart full of peace. You have been a great audience, and I thank you all for hearing me out. Looking forward to seeing you guys again shortly. If you liked the video, please share it with your family and friends. Hit a like button and subscribe our channel for more great and interesting stories.